Hi guys, welcome back. Let's look at the poem How Do I Love Thee, Sonnet 43 by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. First things first, we need to look at the context of the poem. This is a love sonnet by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. According to tradition, she wrote this poem for her husband, Robert Browning. But no specific pronouns or names are mentioned in the poem, which means that this poem is open for interpretation. Let's jump straight into the structure and form of the poem. This poem has 14 lines, which is a typical characteristic of a sonnet. But we need to look at the rhyme scheme to determine what type of sonnet this is. In this case, we can see that the rhyme scheme is A B B A, A B B A, C D C D C D. This means that the type of sonnet we are looking at is an Italian sonnet. And another characteristic of an Italian sonnet is that it is split into two groups. The first group is an octave, which means a group of 8 lines. And these 8 lines have a certain rhyming pattern, as you can see over here. The octave is followed by a rhyming sestet. And as you can see, the sestet has a rhyming pattern of its own. This poem's metrical pattern is a iambic pentameter. Let's move on and analyze each line of the poem in more detail. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth, breadth, and height my soul can reach, when feeling out of sight, for the ends of being an ideal grace. In line 1, the poet is actually responding to a question that she has been asked by someone. The person asked her, "How much do you love me?" She says, "Let me count the ways." Now the poet is going to mention just how much she loves this person. It is interesting to note that the word count over here shows us that there are many ways in which she loves this person, so many that she needs to count them. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach. Here she is telling us that her love knows no boundaries, that nothing can measure it. She describes her love as being a never ending measurement. It is as deep and wide and tall as her soul can reach, which we assume is infinite because the soul isn't a physical thing that can be confined. There is no end, it is infinite. So here she is basically saying that she loves this person unendingly. And this is actually a metaphor because she is comparing her love for this person to a never ending measurement. Let's look at the last part of line 3 and line 4. When feeling out of sight, for the ends of being an ideal grace. In line 4, ends of being here could imply what happens after death. The poet here is referring to an end of a being, so after someone dies. And ideal grace over here could be referring to the afterlife, or in this case, heaven. The poet is saying here that when their lives end and their spirits go to heaven, or ideal grace, the poet will love her beloved even after death. She has an immortal love and it will never die. So even once they both are dead, her love will go on and on and on. Before we move on, we need to take note of the poet's use of assonance in this part of the poem. She uses assonance to express and to emphasize just how much she loves this person. We see the repetition of the sound in line 2, depth, breadth. We also see the sound in line 3, reach, feeling. And lastly, we also see the sound in line 4, being ideal. The poet uses assonance to give the line movement and emphasize her love for this person. Basically, she is saying that she will love this person even after she dies, and she will love them in her afterlife. It's also important to note that this poem is personal, and the poet achieves this personal feeling by using personal pronouns. For example, I, thee, which is you, me, I, and my. Let's move on to the next part of the poem. I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need, by sun and candlelight. I love thee freely, as men strive for right. I love thee purely, as they turn from praise. In this section of the poem, the poet tells us just how much she loves this person. She says that she loves her beloved in ordinary, everyday life. The poet then continues to say that she needs this person as much as she needs other basic necessities. She then says, by sun and candlelight. Sun representing the daytime, and candlelight representing the nighttime. Here the poet gives us imagery, an image of the daytime and an image of the nighttime. Here she says that she loves that person whether it's in the day or in the night, basically all the time. In line 7, the poet says that she loves the person freely. I love thee freely as men strive for right. So here she says that she loves this person in the same way that people strive to do what is good and what is right. They try to be good people. This is an example of a simile because she compares her love to the good nature of people. We see another example of a simile in line 8. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. Here in line 8, she says that she loves this person purely. She loves them in the same way that people strive to be humble and turn from praise in order to remain humble. Basically, her love is given freely, which means no strings attached. And her love for the person is pure, so there are no hidden agendas on her behalf. Before we move on, we also see an example of alliteration, and this is in line 8. The poet says, purely praise. And this emphasizes the poet's pure intentions and love for this person. Let's move on to the next section of the poem. I love thee with a passion put to use in my old griefs, and with my childhood's faith. I love thee with a love that seemed to lose with my lost saints. I love thee with a breath. Let's analyze each of these lines. In line 9 and 10, she is taking the feelings that she has about something negative, old griefs, and compares it to the feelings that she has for this person. Old griefs, in this sense, is anything that a person passionately hates. They despise it, they hate it, they can't stand it. And here she is telling her beloved that she loves him with the same intensity and passion that she has for these things that she hates. Basically, she is saying that she takes all of the energy for anything, either good or bad, and she puts it into her love for this person. The poet then continues and actually makes a religious reference in the second half of line 10. The poet says, and with my childhood's faith. Here she says that she loves him with the same intense emotion her faith or religion gave her as a child. She says that she loves this person with the same intense passion and faith that she had as a child. It is known that children's faith is usually steadfast and they truly believe without a doubt. Just as a child has such a huge amount of faith, the poet says that she has that same amount of love for her beloved. Essentially, she is saying that she loves this person with all of her energy and all of her passion combined. If we look at line 11 and 12, we actually see more religious references. When the poet says lost saints over here, she is referring to all of the people that she once loved and adored in her life. Basically, she says that she loves her beloved with all of the love she has ever felt in her life for anyone. Let's look at the second part of line 12. I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life. Let's stop right there. Here she continues to tell us that she loves this person with all that she is. She loves them with her breath, her smile, her tears, and all of her life. She loves this person with everything that she is, with her entire life and being. She then says, and if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. She says if God allows it, she will love this person in the afterlife. Her love will continue to grow even after they have died. Her love is never ending. This reinforces what we read in the beginning, that her love is undying and never ending. It summarizes all of the previous lines. The poet's love is so strong that even death could not end it. Let's read a modern translation of the poem to solidify our understanding and interpretation. How much do I love you? I'll count all the ways I do. I love you as far as my soul can reach, when it reaches out for eternity and oneness with God. I love you every day as much as I have everyday needs, during the day and the night. I love you by my free choice, like those who choose to do the right thing. I love you without self regard, like those who don't brag about their own accomplishments. I love you with the passion I used to feel for my old sufferings and for the religion of my childhood. I love you with all the love I had lost when I lost those that I loved. I love you with every breath, smile, and tear, and I will for the rest of my life. And if God brings us to heaven, I will love you even more in the afterlife. Let's move on and have a look at the tone and some themes found in the poem. Throughout the poem, we see how the poet describes all the ways in which she loves her beloved. It is repeated throughout, and this creates a tone of love, adoration, and devotion as the poet professes an ongoing and continuous love. There are descriptions of her love that we see throughout the poem. There are in fact 8 in total. As you can see over here, in line 2, I love thee, then the description follows. Same thing happens in line 5, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, and 14. So when she says, I love thee, a description of her love follows. And this is anaphoric, which means it's repeated at the beginning of several consecutive lines. And this repetition creates an emphasis on just how much she loves this person. The poet also makes religious references throughout the poem. The poet was known to be very religious, and her faith was a big part of her life. She makes numerous religious references throughout the poem which imply that her love is spiritual and infinite. It's not confined to her human body. Let's look at all of the references she makes. My soul, ideal grace, childhood's faith, saints, God, and after death. This brings us to the end of the lesson. If this has helped you in any way, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below if you would like to see something specific.